Hioki RM3548 Milli Ohmmeter, measurement averaging, offset voltage compensation known as OVC, and measurement delays. So let's look at this averaging feature because this is designed to help stabilize readings that are jumping around a lot. So let's take a look at what this is. So if we push averaging and it's set to off, now I can either push averaging again or I can use the plus or minus buttons to change these numbers. Now what are these numbers? These are frequencies. So right here, it's going to take 2 samples a second, and it's going to average the 2 samples a second. And 5 would be 5 samples a second, 10, and up to 20, and then it goes to off, and then back to 2. So the highest number is going to give more data points to do more averaging. Now, you may not always want that high number, but once you get to the signal you want, then you would push enter, and now your averaging is on, and you'll see it's indicated right up here where it says averaging on. So let's try this for a second. Let me go ahead and turn this off. And I've got this is just a cheap little switch over here. And so as I get into this, it's kind of bouncing around a lot, and this is not, and I can see that it changes a lot. So let's go over and let's choose my averaging, and let's go ahead and put it on 20 and hit enter. So it's not perfect, but it does look like it's stabilized down to 200, somewhere around 290 milliohms, or 298 milliohms is what I'm seeing now, 287. So it's still bouncing around, but not quite as radical. So this is your averaging, and that's how we turn it on and turn it off. So let's talk about this OVC rating. OVC stands for offset voltage compensation. It's simply just on and off, but since it's labeled here underneath the button, that is a long push. So I push the average button and hold it down, and now you'll see on the screen where it says OVC and on and off. And I'm simply going to use the plus or minus buttons to turn that on or off, and then I'm going to hit enter. So what is OVC? I had to look this up because it was new to me. The OVC function in a milli ohmmeter is used to minimize or eliminate the effects of thermal EMF offset when measuring very low resistances. Thermal EMF? Now there's a new term for me, and here's what I have found. Thermal EMF offset, also known as thermal electromotive force offset, is unwanted voltage that develops in an electrical circuit due to temperature differences between conductors or junctions. It occurs when dissimilar metals or conductive materials are joined together, creating a thermocouple effect. The resulting thermal EMF can induce errors in sensitive electrical measurements. The OVC function can involve taking measurements with a forward and reverse current to cancel out any thermal EMF. This technique averages out any offset voltages that are due to the resistance under test. Thermal EMF is independent of current direction, but voltage drop across the resistance is not. The milli ohm meter can mathematically subtract the two measurements to eliminate the thermal EMF and leave only the actual resistance value. By using the offset voltage compensation function, you can achieve more accurate and reliable measurements when working with very low resistance values and challenging environments where thermal EMF could be an issue. Wow, that was a mouthful, but I felt it was important to understand why the OVC feature is part of this meter and when it should be used. However, if you're testing an electric motor that might have junctions of different materials, you might be a little better off with a little more accuracy using the OVC feature to measure the motor windings. And to turn off the OVC, just press and hold it down for 2 seconds. Go ahead and I believe you can press it again and that will turn it on and off, or you can use the plus and minus buttons. But when you get to off, just hit enter. And now the offset voltage compensation feature has now been turned off. So let's look at the delay feature. We use the delay to add a delay time when using OVC or auto range. When used, the meter waits for the internal circuitry to stabilize before starting the measurement. When using delay, we have several settings: 10, 30, 50, 100, 300, 500, and 1,000 milliseconds. To use the delay, push the button and hold it down for 2 seconds. There is a preset for the delay. However, if I press the plus button, we will get our 10 milliseconds, 30, 50, 100, 300, 500, or 1,000, which is actually 1 second. Once you get the delay you want, go ahead and press enter. Now, this is going to give us a little delay when we make different measurements. Let's switch from this 300 milliohm range and do like a 40 ohm range. So let's come over and connect to a different resistor. And I doubt you'll see much of a difference, but here it is auto ranging, and it waits for the auto range to get to the correct scale. It waits for the delay, then it takes the measurement. To turn the delay off, you go ahead and press and hold. You go ahead and move this to your preset, and then you go ahead and hit enter. So when you're in the preset, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the manual here. And you can see there's some different current values, low and high, and when you're in different ranges, it gives us different delays. And this is based upon you being in the OVC setting.
So if you're measuring under offset voltage compensation,
depending upon what the meter range is set to, what the current is set to, you will get a preset delay.